But not only that, if you look in world history, if you look at Nazi Germany or communist China, the first thing a government does before it wants to take over a country is disarm the citizens from protecting themselves. So if someone tries to shoot the president, he has people armed with guns to fight back. But if someone shoots at me, I'm defenseless. Am I saying a country like Japan needs guns? Konnichiwa minasan. Kyo desu. So in today's video, I'm going to be talking about the recent school shooting that happened in Texas a few days ago. Throwing out a disclaimer, if you're a person who's very uncomfortable talking about guns or don't have the emotional capacity to engage in dialogue that you might not agree with, this video is probably not for you. But for those of you who are open-minded or at least want to hear an argument that you probably never heard about, let's continue. Basically what happened on that day was an 18-year-old kid bought a gun and basically shot up a school. That morning before he went, he shot his grandmother. Thankfully, she's alive in the hospital at the moment. He shot at a few civilians, and when he got to the school, he shot at some officers who arrived on scene. He ended up killing about 19 people that day, most of them being young children in elementary school, literally being one of the worst tragic school shootings in American history. Before I get into my viewpoints about guns, I want to talk a little about the situation. This situation was extremely tragic, and something like this should never happen, especially for young children. And you have to think, what can cause a young boy to be so deranged that he would want to kill children? The signs were very clear, and actually the authorities and many people knew about this kid's weird behavior. He was a loner. He was a high school dropout. He would kill cats and carry around in a bag their dead bodies. He came from a broken home, no father, and his mom was a drug addict. And one thing you find with mass school shooters is that they're mentally unstable and they come from broken homes, most of the time not having a proper father figure in the household. I believe a question people should be asking is that what is our culture doing to cultivate people like this young man who becomes so deranged, delusional, and crazy that he decides to go to a innocent place to shoot up innocent people? I think instead of talking about guns, we should ask what is happening in our culture that people would do such a thing. Because guns in America have existed since the beginning. It's actually part of our Constitution, the Second Amendment, that says the right to bear arms will not be infringed. Meaning, under any circumstance, the citizens have the right to defend themselves. But mass shootings have been a recent phenomenon in American history. Now, why do I think that is? I think the simple solution is that our culture is degrading. We have more broken homes than ever, more divorces than ever, many kids growing up in damaged homes. We are the most drug addicted, alcohol addicted, porn addicted generation in recent history. Our institutions and schools have abandoned lack of purpose. We're teaching kids that society is wrong, society hates them, and that there's no way for them to have a better life. I believe a kind of culture like this is bound to produce people who are mentally unstable and who become crazy. Because decades prior, mass shootings was something that never happened in America. But that was mainly because we haven't abandoned our Christian faith, which gave us purpose and morality, but also we had better families intact. One thing I hate about situations like this is that politicians tend to take this as an opportunity to score political points against their opponents. Immediately, many politicians, predominantly from the Democrat Party, have been wanting to ban guns for a while. Their argument is that the people don't need guns because we have police. However, I do have a counter argument towards that. In this shooting, police arrived on scene, but they didn't go into the school until 40 minutes later. In situations like this, seconds matter a lot. In a matter of minutes, you can kill a lot of people with a gun. But the very fact that the officers pulled up to the school and didn't immediately go in to eliminate the threat, they gave the shooter more time to kill more people. And many people are criticizing this police force because this is your job, to protect people. But yet when you arrive on scene, you don't go in until almost 40 minutes later. By that time, the kid has probably killed a lot of people. Not only that, parents actually arrived on scene trying to break into school to rescue their kids. And what did the police do? They actually arrested parents and actually pepper sprayed them for trying to go in to save their kids. So imagine that. Police arrive on scene, they're not going in immediately, and they're preventing parents who want to go in to save their kids from going in. That's a very horrible look. And that goes to show time is valuable and police can't always be there to protect the people. Now imagine if a law-abiding citizen had a gun at the school, he would be able to eliminate the threat of that kid shooting kids and possibly reduce the amount of casualties that has happened. But because this kid went to, and oftentimes many mass shooters go, and if not all the time, they actually go to places where guns are banned because they know in these gun-free zones, no one will be able to fight them back. And statistically in America, places that have the right to carry tend to have less crime because criminals are not going to commit crimes knowing that everyone around them is strapped with a gun. I believe this situation proves that the police can always be there on time to do their job efficiently. And I think that robbing people of the ability to protect themselves and their families from threats is going to cause more damage for society. Because criminals don't care about abiding laws, and actually in the United States, some of the most gun-restricted places like New York, California, and Chicago have some of the worst gun violence in the country. Because criminals are not going to obey laws. It doesn't matter what a politician signs into office. If a criminal wants to kill people, he or she will kill people. And taking guns away from law-abiding citizens is only going to leave them defenseless against criminals. Now you might be saying, Kyo, well, places like Japan and Australia have banned guns and they have no gun violence at all. Why can't America do the same? I believe people who make these arguments forget there's nuances and other factors that affect these countries. For one is geography. For example, a lot of people allude to Japan and Australia for banning guns and them not having gun violence, but if you look at their geography, Japan and Australia are islands. They have no immediate threats next to them, such as America, like we have Mexico. And then in Mexico, the drug cartels and gangs actually run the government. And many illegals who come to America actually end up carrying drugs, trafficking, a lot of criminal activity. So imagine a lot of criminals in the US are importing guns from Mexico and tearing up their neighborhoods. Law-abiding citizens don't have the ability to protect themselves. While places like Australia and Japan don't have immediate threats or countries that have crime or people who commit crimes inside of them or at the border of the country. And when people mention Australia, they fail to forget that Australia actually had a decrease in gun violence naturally over the years. It's just that when they banned guns completely, it just helped the process more, but Australia already had a decline of gun violence already in its culture. So banning guns didn't really do much because Australia already had a lowering of gun violence. Now you might say, well, Kyo, look at Japan. Japan has banned guns and Japan is completely safe. However, I also think people fail to forget that Japan has a very unique culture. Japan is 98% homogenous and they have a very tight-knit culture. It's not like America, in which we have many immigrants from all over the world, many people with different philosophies, views on life, and lifestyles. Japanese tend not to bother other people or commit crimes in themselves, so really and truly, Japan wouldn't necessarily need guns because of the culture they already have in Japan. Now, for example, if there is a mass amount of foreigners that happen to enter Japan and they bring guns and violence, what would the Japanese do to protect themselves? Also, people fail to forget America is a bigger country. Therefore, having more people in your population, you're going to have a greater amount of people who are not completely there. Also consider America's geography. We are in the middle of two major countries and our geography is extremely big. And considering that there's many different types of lifestyles in America, there's people who live in major cities and people who live in suburban areas or in the country. In some states, they actually have hog problems where they have wild hogs that come and eat their crops and they need strong guns to get rid of these pigs that destroy their property. While someone like me in South Florida may not have that problem, someone in a different area may need that gun. Ultimately, all citizens should have a gun to protect themselves because America has a different culture in which we have more dangerous people here. But not only that, if you look in world history, if you look at Nazi Germany or communist China, the first thing a government does before it wants to take over a country is disarm the citizens from protecting themselves. Because if a tyrannical government knows that people can fight back, they're less likely to try to overtake the country. It was part of America's founding to make sure that a tyrannical government wouldn't come eventually in America. Because the main reason why America was founded was to escape tyranny in Europe. Am I saying a country like Japan needs guns? Of course not. But I think people are missing the main argument, or at least the main focus of what would actually help. For example, Jewish schools in America tend to have armed security in their churches, in their schools, everywhere. If more of our public institutions were armed with security, I think there would be a dramatic decrease in criminals trying to come up and shoot the schools. Because there was also an incident where a school shooter shot up another school, and he tried doing it at a Jewish school. However, when he saw the security, he actually went to another school because if he shot at that school, security would have shot back at him. People tend not to commit crimes when they know there's other people around them that can defend themselves and can fight back if needed. And I think it's very unfair that celebrities, politicians, actors, musicians, famous people can walk around with armed security that's there to protect them, but the average everyday man and woman can't do that. So if someone tries to shoot the president, he has people armed with guns to fight back. But if someone shoots at me, I'm defenseless. And there's over 300 million guns in America. There's no way the government can confiscate all of those guns. But not only that, if they were able to do so, it won't stop criminals from getting guns themselves and terrorizing their communities. But ultimately, freedom comes with responsibility. And when you have no moral compass to guide your life, then chaos ensues. I think this shooter incident was less about guns, but more of the mental state of the American people. Because there's actually more people die from car accidents than they do guns. But we're not trying to ban cars. So you see my point. I don't want this video to get too long, but that's basically why I believe America needs guns and most countries do need guns. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. So if you guys enjoyed the video, please smash the like button, smash the subscribe button. Also hit that bell as well to get notified whenever we post a video. 本当ありがとうございます。みんな気をつけて。じゃあね。